Hari Om. I'd like to welcome you all to this, our ninth night of virtual Satsang. And we are very lucky, I must say, to have, to actually be doing at least two of the Navadha Bhakti. The first of Sanatana Sangha. We have Acharya Brahmachari, Kashyap Chaitanya of Las Lomas number 1 tonight to share his knowledge, his great vast knowledge with us to help us to cross over this ocean of existence, I would say. You know, and this satsang is on the occasion of the passing of my father, Pundit Deonarine Maharaj, and we are this lucky to have Sanatan Karasanga and Rati Mama Katha Prasanga tonight. Okay, so welcome Acharya ji.
Thank you. Prem se bole Shri Sadguru Nath Maharaj ki jai. Let us all join our hands together, bow heads in prayer, as we recite mantras in worship of Bhagwan Shri Ganesh, Ma Saraswati, Param Puja Gurudev, Bhagwan Shri Ram, Bhagwan Shri Krishna. As we recite these mantras, we keep the image of that deity in mind as we offer ourselves in prayer and salutation to that divine. Gajananam bhutaganadisevitam kapit jambho palcharu bhakshanam umasutam shokha vinashakarakam Namami Vighaneshwar Par Pankajam Saraswati Namastobhyam Varde Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Saram Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Nirtam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vedvaram Nilam Bhujishamal Komalangam Sita Samarupita Vamabhagam Pano Mahasayak Charu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvam Shanatham Namami Ramam Raghuvam Shanatham Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bole Shri Sadguru Nath Maharaj ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Vihari Lal ki jai. So I'll begin with a short prayer. This is a Sanskrit stuti in worship of Bhagwan Shri Ganesh, what is known as the Ganesh stuti. Ajam nirvikalpam nirakaramekam niranandamanandamadvaitapurnam param nirgunam nirvishesham niriham parabrahmarupam गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा गुणातीतमानं चिरानन्दरूपं चिराभासकं सर्वगं ज्ञानगम्यं मुनिधेयमाकाशरूपं परेशं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा अजं निर्विकल्पं निराकारमेकं निरानन्दमानन्दमद्वैतपूर्णं परं निर्गुणं निर्विशेषं निरीहं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा अजं निर्विकल्पं निराकारमेकं निरानन्दमानन्दमद्वैतपूर्णं परं निर्गुणं निर्विशेषं निरीहं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेमा गणेशं भजेमा गणेशं भजेमा। बोले श्री सिद्धिविनायक स्वामी की जय। Over the last few nights, you would have heard portions of the Ramacharitra. I was told even Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, and maybe other portions of scripture, or just these two alone? Right. So, what I propose is this evening, Ramayana is quite common all over Trinidad and Tobago. You can hear a lot of Ramayana everywhere you go. Maybe now Bhagavad Gita is also becoming very popular. But Sanatana Dharma, the foundation of Sanatana Dharma, the existence of Sanatana Dharma, and the continuance and perhaps the ultimate end of Sanatana Dharma, if there is such a thing, stands firmly on this concept of knowledge or gyan. Not necessarily bhakti, not necessarily karma. These are all contributing aspects or margs or paths that are found in Sanatana Dharma. But that which Sanatana Dharma truly stands on is this thing called gyan, the path of knowledge, gyan marg. Ramayana is known, is very popular because of its very strong bhakti, should I say orientation, bhakti tone and mood, you should say. But what really carries Sanatana Dharma and keeps it existing, whether individuals know it or not, is this thing called Gyan, philosophy, Vedanta, teachings of the Upanishads. And because of its profound nature and its esoteric value, that perhaps hidden at the back in the minds of just a few, Sanatana Dharma continues to exist. And no other person, no other person besides Shankaracharya or Acharya Shankara would have contributed or made Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, better over the last couple 100 years or so. Through his writing, Adi Shankara would have made one of the greatest contributions to Sanatana Dharma. And this evening I would like to share with you just a few lines of Adi Shankara's teaching that comes in a beautiful text called Sadhana Panchakam. Sadhana Panchakam. You're familiar with Sadhana Panchakam. So I would select just the third verse. Sadhana Panchakam is made up of 5 verses. And I would select for you just a line or two of the third verse. The verse goes like this. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam shruti-shirah paksha samadhiyatam paksha samashriyatam dustarkatsu viramyatam shruti-matah tarkonusamdhiyatam brahmasmiti vibhavyatam aharah garva parityajyatam deheham atirujyatam buddhajanaihi vada parityajyatam vada parityajyatam vada parityajyatam. Bole Shri Sadguru Nath Maharaj ki jai. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam. So this is not Hindi. This is Sanskrit. But you are familiar with some Sanskrit? No? Just some Hindi. Okay. So vakyarthascha vicharyatam. Vichar means what? To reflect. Vichar. Reflect. Reflect on what? Vakya. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam. Shruti. Shruti shiro paksha samashriyatam. Sadhana Panchakam, a little background on Sadhana Panchakam, what it's all about. Sadhana Panchakam falls under a bit of scripture, or a portion of our scripture. Scripture of a holistic nature for Hinduism is very vast. We have the Karma Shastra, we have Bhakti Shastra, Ramchatra Manas, Narad Bhakti Sutra. And you also have like the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita directly related to Karma Yoga, or the path of Karma. So Karma Shastra comes there. Many of the books would have given us disciplines on how we should act on this world and what we should do and should not do. It's called Karma Yoga. And Shastra that deals with that is called Karma Shastra. The portion of our scripture that deals solely with the exposition of knowledge, expounding of knowledge, for the sake of intellectual thinking by the individual, not just emotional feelings and emotions of the individual, but more or less intellectual, logical thinking. This falls under the bit of scripture known as the Jnana Shastra, the path of Jnana Yoga or Marg, or the path of knowledge. So Adi Shankara's writing, literally all of them, if not all, most of them, would fall under the path of knowledge, because he's known to be one of the greatest philosophers in our history. And it is said that a selected few in the vast number of Hindus all over the world, I would say universe now, only a selected few will have that sort of interest to want to know better, to want to know more about the truth, that which is Satyam, that which actually defines the Sanatana Dharma. Very few would want to know that. Everyone else will participate, will enjoy the beautiful food and the clothes and the singing and all the different beautiful aspects, the little paraphernalia and all the little decorations and all the little nice things that you can do in the yajna and satsangs and so on. The majority will enjoy that, but not all will have a palate or a taste for this Vedanta or this Gyan or this knowledge. And Shankaracharya ji, realizing that there was a sway away from the logic or the philosophy, that which is the foundation of Sanatana Dharma, Adi Shankara, realizing that during his short lifetime, presented the world, the universe, with amazing explanation or bhashya of the Upanishads of the Vedas itself. Realizing to some degree that they're very difficult for the average person to understand, Shankara also did small portions of scripture, all of it containing small little ideas from the Upanishad, from the Vedas, probably putting it in a more palatable form for the common man. All of those writings that he did, including Bhaja Govindam, Dakshinamurti Stotram, Tattvabodh, Atmabodh, and also this one called Sadhana Panchakam, these fall under a bit of Hindu Shastra or scripture known as Prakriya Grantha. Some say Prakarna Grantha, Prakriya Grantha, Prakarna Grantha. See, So it is not something normally found in any, hardly you'll go to a home in Trinidad, I don't know, that you'll find anything like this. You'll find Ramayana, you'll find Bhagavad Gita and so on. But you may not find a lot of the Prakriya Granthas. So Shankaracharyaji's work is meant for the common man to move up of his karmic identity, his karmic base activity or daily life, if you want to say. Move him up from that, because he's supposed to grow in spirituality. He grows in everything else. He grows in age, grows in physical strength and power. He grows in his job. He grows as a child out of education, from basic education. The average human being grows out of everything. Spirituality. What about Dharma? Do you grow up or out of Dharma? We need to at least grow up from Dharma. We cannot be thinking the most basic things at all point and on. You have to grow up. So what is the progression? What is the growth? It comes from karma. Basic everyday life activity, doing right and trying to shy away or do not do the wrong negative things in the world. Move forward, move up. And from that, he develops a closer relationship with God. It's called bhakti. He develops a strong love for God. And he shies away from doing a lot of actions and perhaps just do more devotion and prayer to that divine. He's called a bhakta then. From a karma yogi, he grows to become a bhakta. When he becomes a bhakta, and his emotions are filled and fulfilled, and there's not much room again for love for God. He has attained that highest level of love for God. He starts to question himself. Intellect has to kick in at some point in time. All that is emotional zoning. Emotions, manas, the emotional aspect of the human mind, indulges us in doing activities and loving what we do and hating what we do. And loving God, and perhaps some people hate God as well. Ravana was one who hated God, and God himself removed him. So there's a lot of love for God. But at some point, the intellect which lays dormant in the antakarana, or the portion of the human mental faculty, that comes alive. It springs into life. And the intellect in all of us, at some point, if we are ripe with bhakti and ripe with devotion towards God and love God in the right way, we at some point in time tends to question, who is this God? Who am I? What is my relationship with that divine? Why am I here in this world? Why did this Lord put me in? I pray to God, and God is my loving teacher. He's my guide. He's everything. He's my provider, my protector. But why did he put me in this world with all this samsaric suffering? So when the individual starts to inquire into questions and so on, then the intellect starts to become alive. The Sadguru comes into the life of the individual now. Some teacher has to come because the individual is lost now. Tulsidas was lost out of so much love for Bhagavan Sri Ram. He was lost. And when he was lost, he even pushed further and went deeper into Bhagavan. And finally, the Lord himself, and you find many of us will do, the Lord himself will send someone to you. In this case, it will be Tulsidasji's wife. When she told him, you go through so much difficulty to come to me. If you had dedicated that much energy towards God, he would have given you liberation, what you're doing. So like the Guru will come to us, and perhaps the Sadguru will come to us in unique ways. When the individual is ripe and ready to inquire and to learn and to know, then this bit of Prakriya Grantha is the bridge that will help you from this point on to the Upanishad, on to meditation, and then finally realization. So it is a spiritual growth. The unfortunate thing is that many of us, a lot of us, if not the most of us, we never reach this stage during one lifetime. That is so sad. We can live as a child, born and grow up as a child, being innocent, being guided by our parents and our Shiksha Guru and Diksha Gurus. And Sadguru can enter our life at some point in time. And we can attain liberation in this life, moksha. But many of us, we choose to hold on to world and hold on to property, hold on to relationship, hold on to even more love for God and not want to move further into inquiring who or what God is. Many people say that's a blasphemy. You should not inquire into who is God. It's wrong to do so. But Sanatana Dharma doesn't say so. It says that is the natural growth or progression or natural growth process. That each and every one of us should at some point in time question who is God and who am I? And what is the nature of this world? Ishvara, Jiva and Jagat should be the number one source of, you should say, goal of inquiry in all of us. We should be inquiring, who is this Lord? What is this world? Jiva, who am I? Jagat, world. Bhagavan, Ishvara. What is Ishvara? So Shankara, realizing that at some point, if not all of us, maybe death will come, we become good bhaktas of the Lord, and then we die. And then we are born again because we did not attain liberation through bhakti. We just became good devotees of God. And perhaps upon that, many says you go to the feet of the Lord. When you become a good bhakta of the Lord, when you die, you go to the feet of the Lord and you be with Lord forever. Well, being at the feet of God and being one with God, which one is better? Recognizing your oneness with the Lord. Your true identity is oneness with the Lord, not as a devotee or a child of God. That is where the duality, that's perhaps the unique duality that still binds us to samsara. When there's a difference between you and the Lord, when you feel or you continue to feel that there's a difference between yourself and God, then you're still suffering. You're separate from the Lord. Bhagavan will bless you with what? Bless you with things. Anyone who is separate from God or separate from a leader that can provide for you all the things that you want, then it is things that you continue to ask for. Ramakrishna Paramhams suffered this fate. Na? Day to day, he was one of the best devotees of the Devi. And at some point in time, when he started to realize, I'm so close to you, but at the same time, there is distance between me and you. I and you are not one. Which day will come when I will recognize my oneness with you. So even the greatest of the set will come to that point where he feels close to God, even upon death, that the jiva moves into close proximity with the Lord and dwells in heaven, as they say. But at the same time, you're still separate and different from God. Sanatana Dharma tells us, no, that is still second-notch teaching. You need to attain oneness with God, and only through inquiry, perhaps you can attain that oneness. Dharma also tells us that through human form, we can reach this stage. There is no need to die to reach a stage where you have to become one with Lord. That is not a requirement for it. So it means that during your lifetime, when you have a physical form, when you have a seat of emotion, or core of emotional feelings in the heart, when you have a thinking capacity, logical thinking capacity called intellect or buddhi, when you can retain knowledge or memory, when you still have a sense of oneness with yourself, oneness with the world, some sort of separation, these four pillars maintains the human antakarana, what is called the human mind, and it is one of the most useful tools that is available to you to attain liberation. Upon death, you may not have a physical form that you can go to a guru could come to you. Upon death, the physical form is not there. So you're limited in that regard. Emotions, what emotions should you feel? What hate would you feel? If you're in one and the same, or you're close to the Lord, at the feet of the Lord, what hate would you have? So you will have a lot of hate. You may not have a lot of hate. You may have some feeling of distance between Lord. So emotions that you're still not happy. Because Lord is there. This is the Lord's feet. I'm touching the Lord's feet, but I do not feel oneness with the Lord. What is going on? Bhagavan, why am I still separate from you? Why am I living in your palace? I'm trying to paint a picture of the best accounts of individuals who have told us that bhakti is the highest level of achievement that a human being can attain. It's not the highest level. As long as you have duality between you and the Lord, you're not still oneness with the Lord. You have not still happy. You have not attained moksha. Think of it carefully. Do not take my word for it. Give it some thought. That's what Dharma is about. You should think of it. Don't believe anything I say. As a matter of fact, question me and doubt me 100%. Doubt me and doubt my guru, and doubt my guru parampara also. Although they have studied for thousands of years, and I am just one disciple that comes out of my guru parampara, doubt me as well. Doubt me for sure, because I'm just a typical Trinidadian living in Las Lomas. I know nothing, but I'm just telling what my guru told me. So I feel better when people don't accept what I say and get angry at me, and they question me and they judge me and they doubt me, and then they go on the search to find what I'm saying to be wrong, and then finally they found it on themselves. I love when that happens. Typically in my group will tell me it takes 8 years for that to happen, because I've spoken in I've been here in Trinidad for 21 years now, giving these types of discourses. And I'm telling you, in 21 years, when I speak like this, many people have doubts and dislike and hate also. Many of them actually they say God should kill you. There's some people are so strong words. They said, that is blasphemy. I remember radio one day, a guy called on the radio after I was giving a discourse. He says, use God? How you could be God? How I could be God? How anybody could be God? And he was angry. And I felt good inside, because I'm saying, let him think. Let him think. Understand what is being said. Understand what the Shastra is being said. And keep hating me as long as you want. But I know one day it'll dawn upon you what was really said, and how you are supposed to, digest it, and how it's supposed to transform you. That process, we have seen that in the past. My group, when we go out to Satsang and we make outlandish statement like that, or really crazy statement like that, people take a long while to come to terms with what was said. And I've had people call me 8, 7, 6 years after, So much craziness going on within 7 years. And call me and say, now I understand what you're saying. But then there are those who are more efficient, will do it in a split of a second. How does our Vedanta describe, how does it say, how long does it take for the average person to attain liberation? Someone who is a good devotee of God, how long does it take for him to attain liberation? Well, don't say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 years, because these things did not exist. This concept of time that we have did not exist at the time when the Shastra was being presented. So how it was told? It was told in a little story. It says it takes as long as a good soldier will be able to mount his horse in battle. That is how long it takes. So it's a good soldier, not a soldier. You have some soldier out there who's not really soldier. That fella's lazy too bad. But a good soldier, upon being called to battle, how he springs into action, mounts his horse, and ready to fight. That is how long it takes, or even shorter than that. That is how long it takes for you to attain liberation. Because for you to change your perspective out of deep thinking analysis, for you to change your perspective and accept something of fact and shun or drop something that you thought to be true, can only take a split second. The mind is that fast. Correct? You were thinking something for the longest while. That person hate me, and all of a sudden he comes and he gives you an apple. Are they? Confusing now? This man hate me so much, and I thought he hate me so much. Look, he come and give me an apple this morning. This thing must have some poison or something. When you check, no poison. When you look at it carefully, the man just say, I just wanted you to have a happy day. I realize that you're thinking bad about me, but I don't think bad about you. And in a split of a second, what happens? You're amazingly, you decided all this hate that you had for so many years, you just drop it now. This man is really a nice person. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, he talked about what? Rode that bus every single day on a Saturday morning when he did not go to work. Stephen Covey, anybody know who Stephen Covey is? He's a philosophical writer. He said he used to ride that bus to go to work every morning. And on a Saturday morning when he does not have a job, he still takes the train, and he goes to work. But the Saturday morning, there's not a lot of rush on the train. So he relaxes and he'll enjoy the breeze and the sunlight coming through the train windows. Goes to the same place of work, buy a newspaper there, and read the newspaper on the train back home. On a Saturday morning, he will do that. And there was this morning that he was there on the train and he was coming back, reading his newspaper, and a man came onto the train and brought some noisy children with him. Children were jumping on the seats and making a whole lot of noise. Tried to ignore it for a while. At some point in time when he's not able to read his newspaper, the children are making so much noise and the man is just sitting there and the children are jumping and making a lot of noise. Finally, he started to get angry. Started to dislike the children. Started to even feel angry at the man for not doing anything. Look at the children, how they're misbehaving. Started to blame and accuse and so many. And finally, he burst out. He said, you're sitting there, the children are making so much noise. I'm just sitting here trying to read my newspaper, and the children are making a whole sort of halabala and so on. So the man just simply looked at him and said, well, let me just tell you what happened. We are now coming from the hospital. And the children's mother, she was in hospital for some time. And this morning we found out that she had passed away. He said, I do not know how to deal with it, and I do not think that the children knows how to deal with that as well. And perhaps this is their form of expressing grief. In my view, I do not know. I'm confused. Now, Mr. Stephen Covey, bright and intelligent as he is, he went from hate and anger and so much negative feelings in a spur of a moment, just hearing the truth, immediately compassion, love, just went out for these people. Sorrow, pity, whatever negative, nice feelings that you can have for someone when you really feel, some sort of sorrow for them. So that's how long it takes. When the truth dawns upon you, you can be transformed in a split of a second. That's how long it takes. Sure.
How do we do that?
So this is why all of this is, I'm not going to give you the entire verse today. I just want to introduce you to the first portion of this verse. So the question you're going to ask is going to be answered in now. I think my introduction is pretty long, so I'm just going to get into the verse now. So just to give you an idea, Adi Shankara gave this knowledge so that we can have the stepping stone. If you don't already have the stepping stone, this is the initial aspect of it. Look at the Prakriya Granthas. As I've told just now, Sadhana Panchakam is just one. This is one of the simplest one. But I'll tell you something, the knowledge contained in this, it is vast. Maybe, I don't know, I'm going to go say 10 Ramayans, but a lot of Ramayans will have to come through your mind if you can understand one or two of this. Bhaja Govindam, simpler again. The Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, these are wonderful bits of Prakriya Grantha written by Adi Shankara that will help the individual to just move forward, move up, and reach that stage that all of us want so much. So just look at each of these 5 verses Sadhana Pancha. Pancha means 5. Panchakam means 5 verses. Sadhana means spiritual practices that we will embark on to lift ourselves spiritually. So Sadhana Panchakam, a book of 5 verses that was supposed to list for you some sadhana. Each of these verses contain 8 sadhana, 8 specific guidances that Adi Shankara is going to give you that can help you to ascend from your common state of existence and your common identity in terms of spirituality. He gives you 8 instructions in each verse, giving you what? 40, 5 8 are how much? 32. 5 8 are 40. Let me see if let me just check to see if all are listening. You're looking at me and perhaps your mind is far. So every so often, Ram went into the forest for how much? 18 years, correct? How many chapters in Bhagavad Gita? 14 chapters, correct? So I'm just checking to see if you're with me. Well, let me hear the answers. How many chapters of Bhagavad Gita? 18 chapters. And how long did Bhagavan Sri Ram went in the forest for? 14 years. Sadhana Panchakam is made up of 40, that we say sadhana, or instructions if you want to say simple. Spiritual practice, sadhana. Now the first one and the third verse, we had the third verse, so there are 2 verses I just skipped past, didn't worry to touch on it. We'll see it another time perhaps, but this one I like because I want you to get a taste of what I'm talking about. He says, constantly reflect. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam. It says, constantly reflect upon the meaning of the Upanishadic commandments or declaration. All right? It says, constantly ruminate, reflect on it, think about it. Think about Brahmachari talking foolishness or nonsense or things that I cannot relate to, or things that I've never heard anywhere because, they say if you hear it all over the place, then it must be true. If one person speaks something different to what is commonly understood to be true, then you say something had to be wrong with him. We will not go with the minority. We'll go with the majority. That's what consensus, as they say. That's how the average person thinks. So one weird thing was strange things. So I'm telling you, constantly think about or dislike the things that I am saying, or anyone you'd have talked about, who would have talked to you about philosophy and Vedanta, because you know that is not true. Raman is Ramayan country, and leave it like that. Don't interfere with that, Brahmachari. Somebody told me that. So this is Ramayan country. Don't come and talk no Upanishad and Vedanta and here. This is not. I get some nice and really nice views in some people sometimes, But I love it because I know this is where we're at. It helps me to understand where we're at as a people, and we can start seeing some more. So constantly think about this weird approach to Sanatana Dharma, where we talk about philosophies, we talk about Satyam. He says reflect. So that reflection or rumination that you have about something that's totally different, that you're not comfortable with, that is not in your comfort zone, as they say, something that's far-fetched, something that seems to be not loving God, but thinking about who is God, analyzing, and constantly inquiring. Put all of this together. And this is what vichar means. Constantly think about what? And he says that the Upanishadic declaration or commandments, in this case, it amounts to 4. It is accepted by the great thinkers of our history, or Guru Parampara, that there are 4 statements that are among the cream of all the Shastra given in Hinduism thus far. And that's a long time. From the very initial existence of Sanatana Dharma, or some identity of Sanatana Dharma, which goes back for thousands of years, till modern 2021, where we are sitting here and discussing scripture. In all of this vast 18 Puranas, the entire Brahma Sutra, all of the 4 Vedas, the Prakriya Grantha, all the different Ramayana, Katha, and all of these things, the cream of all of it boils down to just 4 statements. Just 4. You know them as the Mahavakyas. It's called Mahavakya. Now, if you want to put it to a test, if I'm saying that the Mahavakya, Maha means great, Vakya means statement of truth or saying. If I'm saying to you that the Mahavakyas are the greatest statement out of the roof and crown of all Shastra, then you will question me in one more way. You'll say, but wait a second, Brahmachari ji. I thought Gayatri mantra was the best mantra and the highest mantra. Because you were told that, no? How can you come and say there are 4 mantras? And if you only say one and 4 mantra is not the Gayatri mantra, well, now I've vexed with you. So I'm literally what? Challenging the status quo here now. I'm shaking the foundation of modern, I should say modern Sanatana Dharma, which is highly technological. Let me try that one time. Modern Sanatana Dharma is beamed all across the universe now, not only the world, through technology. Right now, we are doing it. This is evidence that Sanatana Dharma is not no long time thing. It is modern, it is highly technological, it is advanced. And therefore, if you're saying to me that in my modern, very liberal and very open-minded understanding of Sanatana Dharma, if you want to use some more words, that if Gayatri Mantra does not come within this 4 statement that you say, Brahmachari, I will vex with you now. So let us see, what are these 4 mantras? You all will know them. Very short statements of truth. The first one, he says, Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. Have you ever heard this before? You might have. No? You would have heard. You went to Chinmay Mission School? Right. What? Campus. Okay, so the camps. Camps, okay, yeah. So, Prajnanam Brahma. First of the 4 Mahavakya, Prajnanam Brahma. What does it mean? Prajnana means consciousness. The one consciousness that pervades all of the entire universe. I don't use the word world anymore. I use universe now because in 2025, we're going to be in Mars. I think so. 2030, we're going to be in Mars. Elon Musk says that he's going to be the first human to be born on Earth and have his funeral in Mars. In 2030, we're going to be in Mars. We have Perseverance is already on Mars. It landed in February this year, February 18th. It landed after 6 months of travel from July 2020 to 2021. We have the Perseverance rover. Now, we had rovers on Mars since 1976, you know. You know that. And one of them, two of those are already gone. They're not functioning anymore. That one, that is there. But this Perseverance has a helicopter. First time you're actually flying in Mars. So we have Mars. So you can't say the world anymore. You have to say universe. You have to include Mars. Because in a couple of years from now, humans are going to be in Mars. And religion is one of the biggest topics now. Because when you start to travel into the universe and so on, then you start to question religion and what it means. Truth and karma and all of these things will be questioned in the future. So many different dimensions to Dharma will come. So when we talk about the consciousness, it is one consciousness that pervades the universe. It means it is the one underlying substrate that all things are projected from. It's called consciousness. So, not the word for it, it's called awareness. If you want to throw in some man-made words or some slangs, if you want to say, instead of consciousness or awareness, throwing the word knowingness, Knowingness, which is not really English word, I don't think it is, but I just made up that now. So knowingness, what does it mean? Well, I, Acharya Brahmachari Kashyap, Chaitanya ji, knows that this is called book. It's called Sadhana Panchakam book. Very good. So there are 3 things there. There's me, Brahmachari Kashyap, Acharya ji, that is the book. If you take out of this statement, you take out 3 of the 3 elements, there you take me out. What has remained? Okay, take out the book first. So I, Brahmachari Kashyap, knows that this is a book. So remove the book. So then what is left? I, Brahmachari Kashyap, knows. No book anymore because we removed the book, nah? So there's only 2 things left. So I, Brahmachari Kashyap, knows there's a book. Remove the book. I, Brahmachari Kashyap, knows. Remove the remove the Brahmachari then. What is left? The knowing concept remains because we did not remove that. What is the first thought? I'm going to prove it to you. What is the first thought that comes to your mind the moment you wake up in the morning time? Don't tell me your prayer because that's the secondary thought. It's called idam vritti. It's called idam vritti. When you wake up and say, oh, beautiful morning, no rain last night. Like 2 thoughts just gone there. First one, oh, it's a beautiful morning. Or the first one, oh, just the all alone is a thought. Oh, what a beautiful day. Oh, last night had some rain. Second thought. Wow, today is Monday. Third thought. I have to get up and go to work. Fourth. I need to eat some serious rice and dal this morning. I don't know, make some rice and dal to carry for lunch. I need some, I don't know, cereals or something. 4th, 5th, 6th thought. But I must get up and go now and shower and change and get because it might be late. 9th, 10th thought. Those are secondary thoughts. But what is the first thought? The moment you wake up in the morning. The first thought is, I am. I am. I must establish my existence first. And therefore, I will be hungry. I will be late. I would have slept well. I would have been waking up now. Last night was a rainy day, a rainy night. This morning will be some rain in Port of Spain or whatever. So these are all idam vritti. The first thought or the first awareness or concept principle that is there is aham vritti. I am. Vritti means thought, aham, the concept of I. I have to establish that first before I can declare things about myself or my life or what is going on. What allows us this identity of myself first is what is called the consciousness. It is there, equal in all things. Every single one of us, animal, dog, cat, everybody has to establish a sense of self. It's just that the human being is more aware of it, rather than the ordinary person. The ordinary animal will not be so much aware of it. But the average human being, because of his intelligence, he knows that it is existing at a greater level. So this I am, or I know, the knowingness principle does not require me to empower it or give it sentiency or give it dynamism or existence. It exists on its own. When I tap into it, I acquire concept of thinking or thoughts. When I objectify it into items that I identify with, then I give these things also reality. If all of us go to sleep at the same time and we fall deep into sleep, who will prove that the world exists? Anyone? So a tree falls in the forest and there is no one there. Does it make a sound? Common psychology question everybody asks. A tree falls in the forest. Huge, massive tree falls in the forest. It crashes to the ground, breaking other trees perhaps as it falls. But there is no one there. No one there. Does it make a sound? Every 10 or 12 seconds in the Amazon forest, or I think it's Brazil, trees are being bulldozed and dropped. Do you know that? Do you recognize the sound that it makes? You're not there because there's no one to perceive it. There is no perceive of it, no one to objectify or to give it some sort of objectivity or give it reality. So this entire universe, if all of us lose our consciousness immediately at the same time, then there is no proof of the world's existence. There's no proof of the moon. There's no proof of the God. There's no Bhagwan Sri Ram. There's no Rama. There's no Krishna. There's no Durga. There's no Hinduism. There's no Trinidad and Tobago. There's no Prime Minister. There's no budget also. Maybe we all lose our consciousness one time. If you don't like the budget, let's lose your consciousness. You have no budget to worry about. So these things are enlivened or given life because of our perception of it. Now, it is so convincing to us that it is real because all of us, we compare our thoughts and all of us collectively agree that this thing exists. But it exists because of this concept of consciousness. That dwells within all things. It is the substrate that projects all of us, and our objectivity, our subjectivity comes because we borrow what it calls sentiency from this consciousness principle. It's a little bit hard. Now you can start to see why many people will not want to hear these things. Because Ramayana, you just sing Tuchu Chaupa and tell a beautiful story. Ram went into the forest. Ram lost Sita. With the help of the monkeys and the bears. They fought Ravan, who was a bad person, and they got back Sita. Isn't that a wonderful story? I would like to hear that over and over again. It is beautiful, especially when Hanuman fighting. If you know now they describe Hanumanji, you're seeing on TikTok some image of Hanumanji, very muscular. Shiva Shankara Bhagavan is looking like he's training in gym and thing now. Long ago, they say Shiva little pot belly, Hanumanji little pot belly, and now Hanuman looking muscular. And all the jewel pieces and the mukdar and the Hanumanji with crown, and it looks really nice. They're doing some nice art on Krishna Bhagavan. Ishkan is doing some amazing picture of Lord Krishna also. So, come back to the point. All of these, the perception of God and all of these things, literally, is made possible because this consciousness exists, and it exists on its own. Now, it says what? Consciousness is Brahman. So, prajnanam Brahma. Brahma means what? Sanatana Dharma only has one God. Doesn't have 2 or 3 or 4 or 85,000 or 86,000 or manifestations of God. No. Sanatana Dharma, ekam advaitam. One consciousness, not two. One God, not two. But then wait, we start Navratan today. Some people said tomorrow. But I Devi worship for 3 days. Durga. Then tomorrow could be what? Lakshmi. By Thursday could be what? Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. By Saturday, Sunday could be Lakshmi for 3 days. And then Saraswati for the next 3 days, making 9 days and all. So you have like 3 God riding. Navratan alone is 3 gods. And then Hanumanji, 4th again, Shiva Shankara Bhagavan, Ganesh, Krishna, Narasimha Devta, and then so many more, even new ones coming on stream now. Or you could say it have more than one, it only have one God. Well, again, the consciousness is one. When it manifests into you and you and you and me, it is as though has a multitude of existence, but the consciousness remains one. I want you to think of it. Take a nice big bucket of clay. Put some nice water in it, smooth clay, no stones or anything in it. And you shape a nice little kalsa here. You shape a little diya here. You shape a little parai here. You shape a little ghata, pot to keep the cold water. And you shape a couple other things, even some ornaments. You could make some ornaments with it. And when you look at it all, you say, oh, this is kalsa, this is diya, this is parai, this is a bowl for cooking, this is ghatam for keeping water. So many different things I have now. But it is what? It is clay and clay only, Nothing but clay. The jewel piece could be a necklace, it could be a gold bangle, it could be an earring, it could be a nose ring. Whatever the ornament is, it is literally gold. The consciousness is one. When it manifests in different, it manifests as the chair, manifests as you, as the divine God. Bhagwan Sri Ram, when he was about to be born, you heard the story in Ramayana, how he was born. The Havan was done, the Agnihotra was done, and the Payasam came. Payasam was divided in half, then that was divided in half and given to the wives. And the brothers of Dasharatha's children were born. So Bhagwan had to manifest as though a human being, although he's the divine. Krishna Bhagwan also had to be as though born, go through the process. That also is a wonderful topic of discussion, how everything comes into creation. It's a different discourse now. So the consciousness, when it manifests, Bhagavan Krishna, he says, Urdhva Moolam, 15th chapter, first verse, Urdhva Moolam, Adhashakam, Ashwatham Prahuravyam, Chandam Siyasya Paranani, Yastam Vedasa Vedavita, Adhashchorvam, Prastatastasya Shakha, Guna Pravidha Vishya Pravalaha, Adhashcha Moolan, Yanu Santatani, Karmanu Bandhini, Manushya Loke. Beginning of 50th chapter. How the world manifests. The roots above means the consciousness. Bhagavan Krishna says, I am the consciousness. Nothing is different from me. And from that, the entire world is manifest. So the Prajnanam Brahma means that consciousness, because it pervades all things equally, it is changeless by nature. There is no point of creation, point of existence, and point of dying. That consciousness remains the same. Whether the world has dissolved, the universe has dissolved, folds back into the Big Bang Theory and so on. All of that nonsense is given away. If all of it folds back, the consciousness remains, whether we have planets or not. That consciousness remains changelessly. See? So that consciousness, he says, is Brahman. Brahman means the Lord. That consciousness is the unmanifest Lord. Now he goes, the second one is, see, the statement of advice or upadesh. He says, Tat Tvam, what's the final word? Tat Tvam Asi. That you are that Prajnanam Brahma. You are that Brahman. That is what you are. That is real trouble if you say that. And that's why I say on the radio, I think I get myself in trouble. Anybody want to get me in trouble? No problem. My name is Brahmachari Kashyap Chaitanya. And I am Acharya Brahmachari Kashyap Chaitanya. And I'm saying this outrageous thing. And please be vexed with me or please be angry with me and do question it though. And one day we will come to know. Though I do not know who you all are because I'm just seeing a camera. But do question what I'm saying. Do not agree with it at all. But the Upanishad tells us the second great statement is what? Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art, or that you are. That prajnan, that is your true identity. The body and all its transition and change and aging and all of these things that are going on, none of it is you. These are all what? This is what the shield or that which interrupts the true manifestation of what you are. This body and all of its problems and illness and so on, all of these things are not what you are. You believe it to be you because you do not understand your true identity, and you take a false identity or you take a replacement identity that is generally the body and all its attributes that are associated with the body and all the paraphernalias that are associated with the human body. But the wise among us, as I say, one in a few millions perhaps, will want to know what is who am I? Who is the Lord? What is the nature of this universe? What is the true inquirer will appreciate this statement more than anybody else. Everyone else will see this as foolishness. But the true thinker, the really smart one, the wise one, will say, wait a second. If that thou art, that is what you are. The Upanishad is telling me this is what you are supposed to be, what you are. Then how it is that I do not feel that consciousness, that changeless entity that pervades the entire universe. How it is I don't feel that. Why it is I'm not feeling that? Why it is, if it's something to be felt in the first place? Is it an experience of some kind? Is it an emotion? It is a sensation? Is it a taste of something? It is a state of existing or some sleep that you go into that makes you feel so happy and so wonderful. How do I, if you're saying that is what I am, then there must be something else. Why it is that I don't feel this way? Well, then what? He says this is where vichar comes. This is the essence of vichar. This is what you should be doing. Think about this. If the Upanishad tells you that is what you are, then it is your responsibility now, if you accept or understand what the Upanishad is saying, it is your responsibility now to constantly think. That is why you were given, or you inherited, or you earned through karma the human body. You earned a seat of emotion called manas. It is why you earned an intellect. It is for that reason only. Your intellect was not given to you so that you can choose what color clothes to wear when you go out. I sure you had to make a choice which kurta I'm going to wear tonight. Or kurta top at least. You had to choose which one you want to wear. In my case, I just reach and take out because you know why? All yellow. All yellow. I don't have to wear the green tonight because I go in today's Wednesday. I go wear the blue today. Tomorrow Thursday I go wear Shiva color. I go wear the white tomorrow. Saturday I go wear Hanumanji color. I don't have that problem. My intellect is free from that. But the average person, I wonder if they see me in this already, boy. Can't go in the satsang tonight. Here is just a few people, but there are times when you go to Ramayana, you know something, I wear this in our Ramayana over there. And them people, all of them become. And they see me in this outfit, like, I'm not going to wear this outfit tonight, I'll go wear this other one tonight. But then again, these people come in too, and them see me in this outfit, so I can't wear this one. So you know what happened? Tomorrow morning, I got to rush down Shogunas and buy a new outfit because it seems as though all of these old clothes I have, I wear all of them already. So intellectually now, you're strained. You have to go there now and pick out an outfit now because you don't want anybody to see you in the old outfits. Now, our human intellect are used for that only. Human intellect is used for what again? I don't know what to eat, what to cook today. We fasting and oh God, I don't know what to cook. Everybody fasting. There's some people like that. What to cook now? So you're going to ask, hey, what to cook? You make now whatever you have. Oh God, tell me what to make now. And if I make, you go say, you don't like this, you don't like that. And so now, janjat now in the whole house, what to cook. Intellect is being used for that. Decision-making job, whether to accept a promotion or not, because with the promotion comes more responsibility. You have to get up early in the morning and go with the key first. You can't go late now because you have to carry the key now because you get promoted now. So should I take the promotion and job? Should I change this job and go to that job because I have wife and children now? Can I take the risk of going? So your intellect is being used for that. You have to sit in front of the TV for 4 hours and listen to a person talk about the budget for 2021, and they have to drill your intellect, cipher out in that speech all the mistakes and error that he's making, and now make decisions and see, well, you know, should I agree with it, should I not agree with it? If that's your job, then it becomes critical that you do that. So your intellect is being used for that. What is your intellect given for? This. Come to know who you are. Yeah, you're going to ask?
Yes, Acharya, that confuses me because you said that I am that conscious.
No, the Upanishad is telling you that you are that.
Right.
Till now, that's where we reach right now. Yeah.
I am that. But then again, now you said your intellect is given to you to realize that.
Correct.
Who am I? Am I
Right.
that? Am I this? Am I... I am that. So,
Okay.
it would be commonly said that human life is given for you to realize that.
Remember I told you in the beginning, stepping stones? We're going to do a step in, you're going to step because you're going to move from karma, you're going to move to bhakti. And from bhakti shastra, you love the Lord a lot. And then at some point in time, your intellect has to come alive. I was telling in the introduction, that's why I took my time with the introduction because I want you to understand clearly. So when that intellect comes alive, then and only then you start to suspect that something is wrong. So it is given for that purpose, to take you through that journey. And as we go along, you will see the next true statement that comes, where that, like everything else that you use in this world, when it has served its purpose and it's no longer necessary that you have it, should be tossed aside. You see? So to answer your question, the intellect, till now, when the Upanishad suggests to you that that consciousness is what you are, not necessarily the body that you identify with, your intellect has to come alive now and start thinking about that. You have to start analyzing that. No longer feeling or emotionally approach that. No, this is intellectual. Intellectualism, or an intellect, is used to make decision, to analyze, to inquire. It is a logic-based aspect of the human mind, not emotional-based, not about love and hate and pairs of up. It is about analysis. What is true? What is not true? What is real? What is unreal? What is hot? What is cold? What is up? What is down? What is good? What is bad? What is tasty? What is not so very tasty? It decides for you. It makes decision. It helps you to understand the two extremes of things. and allows you an opportunity. Who is the you? The lower ego, the one that is identified with mind and intellect. It helps for you to now make a decision which way you want to go. Till now, we have to move to 2 more verses, so we're going to see some more. You want to go ahead and move? Are you okay with that for now? Just hold with that for now. Let's see what the Upanishad says again. So it says, it suggests that thou art, hoping that your intellect, your discriminative power that you would have used for things of the world should now be pulled or drawn away from these things of the world and now directed to this statement. Just this. You have a job as a politician, you have to analyze what's going on in the budget or whatever. Okay, fine. But Upanishad says, are you concerned about your happiness or not? Yes, I am concerned. I want to be happy. Because so many years I've lived in this way, I'm not happy. So good. Here what to do for me. Take your high intellect that you have, that you use in politics, whatever, and redirect it now to this statement. Let that be so. Do your job to some point, maybe do to the best of your ability and just leave it now because you're good at it. So leave that now. And think about this now. So your intellect is now withdrawn from all of the things of the world to just come to understand or try to figure out what this is, just like what you perhaps are doing. That thou art, that you are, that consciousness is what you are, not the head. See, that's why we say this is my head. This is my head. This is my nose, this is my glasses. This is my book, this is my iPad, this is my harmonium. This is not my microphone. This is my head, this is my hair, this is my nose. I'll go back again. This is my book. This is my head. If something belongs to you, can it belong to you and be you at the same time? It's not possible. If that was the case, then the book would have been me. The microphone would have been me. Well, it's not my mic, I could say it's mine. The iPad would have been me because these things belong to me. The same way this hair belongs to me, or the eye belongs to me, or the body belongs to me. Because I identify it as my body, my hand, my watch, my book. Anything that belongs to you cannot be you. So your intellect has to be stretched now. Your intellect has to come alive now and try to deal with this sort of nonsense here. All my life I thought was me. People say I'm looking nice. People say I'm growing, getting gray. I should try to dye my hair and go buy my hairdresser and take some of my money and pay my hairdresser to dye my hair. And still, all of this my going on, but at the same time, you're still saying it's you. After you done dye your hair, paying with your money by your hairdresser, you stand up in front of the mirror and say, look how nice I looking. That is me in the mirror. And all the time I say it's something that belongs to me. Eh? Something that belongs to you cannot be you and belong to you at the same time. You have to make a decision, and that's what your intellect will help you to do now. Has to start deciding these things that you have identified with and calling yourself you or identifying with. He says you have to start making this. Your intellect is now being used. It was given to you for that. It's like a paper cup, plastic paper. Well, now you're not supposed to have a styrofoam cup anymore. You take it, you drink the water, and then you throw it away. Your intellect was given to you for that reason. Take the water, drink it in the hand if you want, fine. But if you have a cup, it might be better for you. That's why they invented cups. So take a cup, drink a nice cold glass of water, take the cup and you toss it aside. You don't need it anymore. You've drunk the water, your now thirst is gone. Your intellect, given to you like a paper cup. Take it now. Scoop up this truth of that thou art. Play with it. Use your intellect. Analyze it. And when you have come to the right conclusion, what is the right conclusion? He goes, he says, I am Atma Brahma. The third statement is what? I am Atma Brahma. This Atman, if you think about enough with your intellect, think about that thou art, you will come to some state of agreement with the statement of the Upanishad to be true. That is called Satyam. That is what Sanatana Dharma means. When you come to that state of recognizing truth, of that thou art, what the Upanishad suggests to you, I am Atma Brahma, that this Atman, this life principle inside of me is indeed, this Atman is indeed that Brahman, one and the same. That's a growth process. That's supposed to happen. But now you see, I'll tell you, that thou art and the transition, you can accept consciousness as Brahman. That is easy to accept. God is here, there, and everywhere. Everybody say that anyhow. Nobody means it anyway. God is here, and everybody say that, nah? God is here, there, and everywhere. But he's not in hell. He's only in the masjid, or the mandirs, and the churches, but he's not in, when I'm doing this wrong thing in this place, Bhagwan is not there. But he's here, there, and everywhere. You go to mandir in the morning, and Bhagwan, all pervasive, all powerful, he's here, and you well chant mantra with Baba and thing. You sit down and you well chant. And then you go home, or go wherever you usually go, not you, anybody here, and you do whatever wrong you did, and you say, well, Bhagwan not there. Isn't that what people do? We don't recognize, we say God here and everywhere, but we don't. So now, their consciousness as Brahman is easy to accept. But we say, okay, God is here, there, and everywhere. But when the Upanishad tells you that that all-pervasive God is really and truly your identity, that's why your intellect has to start to work. And if it does its job, if the intellect is like a good paper cup, not with a big hole in it, or not a paper cup that would melt away in your hand, or when you squeeze the water, it'll break apart. If your intellect is strong, it is well-tuned, it has a lot of love that you would have for God that brought you an intellect that is ripe and ready, that was not abused. Your intellect was not abused and perhaps used in foolishness. You're not corrupted mentally, you're not shaken in any way. Just like what happened to Arjuna. He was there, he was a soldier in battle ready to fight. Best soldier. But then he saw members of his family that he would have to kill. And his intellect became corrupt. And he was able to start now using false logic as real logic. And Bhagavan Krishna had to straighten him out in 700 verses. That's what Bhagavad Gita is about. Arjuna's intellect. At the time when he is in, you see, this is a good example again. Arjuna being hugged, embraced by Bhagavan Krishna, adopted Krishna as his charioteer, standing in a chariot with his Gandiva, the bow, ready to fight among a massive army, falls because the intellect fails in the right at a particular time. What about you and me? Bhagavan Krishna is standing in front of you right now. That you can say, Arjuna had a better opportunity. He was actually standing there with the Lord. Lord has treated him like a brother. And he failed. His intellect failed at that time. And started to preach to Bhagwan rather than listen to Bhagwan's word. And Bhagwan told him, he said, you speak as though a great Brahman, a great Pandita. You cry and you weep for those you ought not to cry and weep for. So if Arjuna could fail right in the presence of Krishna Bhagwan, then what about you and me? If Lakshman could acquire such abhiman that he tells Bhagwan Shri Ram that Bharat is now coming to the forest where we are to kill you. Bharat and his army is coming to kill you. And I, Lakshmana, will kill Bharat, kill all of his army, and if Shiva comes also, I'll kill Shiva too. Do you know Ramayana? You see this as Ramayana? It's there in Ramchatramanas. Now, Lakshmana is the brother of Sri Ram, born in the same family, traveling with Bhagavan Sri Ram in the forest. Friends later on to Hanumanji. And Lakshman makes such a statement and makes such a mistake. What about you and me? So see how your intellect can fail you. In that time, Lakshman did so many. There are 3 times when Lakshman would have failed in Ramayana. And you'd find that he got himself in trouble for it. So it means that this is what I'm saying. The intellect has to be the most important equipment available to you. That it has to bring to you this analysis of that thou art. That consciousness is indeed who you are. You have to battle with that. That's your intellect is used for that purpose. That's why it was given. It was not given to make decision about clothes or your job or your politics or your money or make a bank bank investment or anything. Not like the intellect was not used for that. Your intellect is much more powerful than that. That is just small foolish things that you're going to use your intellect because you don't have a better use for it. It's like it's like a beautiful car. That's a beautiful computer, and you just use it as a paperweight to keep the paper from blowing away the breeze. You have a stack of paper, newspaper, whatever, and the breeze is blowing it away. So you take your expensive computer and the rest up there as a paperweight. Like the young boy who gave his father an iPad for his birthday. Grandfather, I think his father or grandfather. And he looked at it, so he said, wow, nice. So he took it in the kitchen and he started cutting vegetables on it. Cutting up the lettuce and the cucumber and everything. He says, he thought it was a cutting board. Didn't realize it was an expensive device. So your intellect, if used for all of those foolish things, then it is not being used properly. It has much more power than that. Its power is to bring you to this understanding of that thou art. So now it says, I am Atma Brahma. If the intellect has done its job well, it was well tuned and refined by your Satguru and your different gurus that you would have gone through during the course of your life. It will bring you to the statement of I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma, that this Atman in me is indeed that Brahman. It is that consciousness. It is not different. You see? That consciousness which is Brahman, that the Upanishad saying that you are, with the use of your intellect, when you analyze that well, and you have come to this stage where you start understanding or recognizing at least a little bit, that this Atman in me, this life principle in me, is indeed one and the same with the life principle in God, or the Atman, or you call the consciousness. If you recognize that, then your intellect would have done its job. It's like the paper cup now. You take it and you toss it aside. No need anymore. Your intellect would have done its job. And then the fourth statement here comes now. He says it is called the raw of liberation or realization. The fourth statement here, you would probably hear this before. It is what? Aham Brahma Asmi. So this fourth statement, Aham Brahma Asmi, is the row of realization. It means that you cannot declare this unless and until it is actually so. Hear my words carefully. The individual who was a great bhakta or devotee of Sri Ram or Krishna or Devi, who is a great worshipper of the Lord, who started to think about these ideas, and who at some point in time used his intellect rather than his emotions. He used his intellect rather than his hands and his legs. He used his thinking, analytical power. And he came to the understanding that this consciousness that is there, here, there, and everywhere is actually what I am. That is my true identity. He came to understand that this Atman in me, the life principle in me, is never ever born, dies. It is never going through any suffering. It is indeed one and the same with the consciousness all the time. When that person truly recognizes that and understands that, it is only then he stands up and say, Aham Brahma Asmi, Aham Brahma Asmi, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. If you have not done the vichar, he says reflect, if you have not done the vichar, if you have not done the bhakti, if you have not done the karma yoga and you have not done the bhakti, and you did not sit in front of your guru, you did not sit in front of the guru with shastra like this, you did not sit in front of the guru using your intellect that the guru asked you to use, guided you to use. You did not bring your intellect to the sharpest point where you start to analyze this and come to the right understanding. You will not be able to declare Aham Brahma Asmi. That is not possible. So now, to answer the question that you would have asked, how do we, we talk about I am this Brahman. How do we attain that? This is the solution. That's why we give this first. I give you this now. This is all you need to do. This is all you need to do. To attain happiness in life, this is all you need to do. It is called intellect. But if you choose not to, if you say that I do not choose my intellect, I do not want to go this way, because all my friends, they go to Ramayana and they love to clap. Well, now I hear everybody talking about dancing in Ramayana. No, dancing in Ramayana is a normal thing, because now you have the Dafali drum, the tapu. And well, some Pundit Krishna use the, the drums, the different drums. So we have a lot of drums now. So when you go there, it's a dance, it's a drum, it's a vibrant music. A couple of bhajan artists I know went to record songs. I tell them, no, don't record these songs. Go back home and make it faster, because people want to dance now. So satsang's about dancing, beautiful clothes, nice food, beautiful katha, story about values of life. If this is what satsang in Trinidad is about, you're not ready for this. I'm sorry. If that is what you are, then you're not ready for this. This is not going to mean anything to you. But if you're a person, Bhagavan Krishna says the end of 6th chapter into the 7th chapter, he says 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million will actually want to walk this path. And only that one will attain liberation. Everybody else will go through Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Adi Shankara says you'll go through birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. Samsara will become real and always be real to you. And you will go through all the emotions of suffering and pain and crying. So one of the nicest things to do is when you see somebody suffering is to go and hug them up, because it makes them feel good. But some people say, I like to go and hug up people who are suffering because it makes me feel good. So then if this is what you are, you want to do seva, go ahead and do your seva, because that is what is the most important. If that is the number one thing to you, this is not gonna make any sense to you. It's not gonna help you to become better or anything. This is gonna be meaningless to you. There's only a selected few in the world that actually will find this appealing. And I'll tell you one quick thing again. We'll see a little bit more about Aham Brahmasmi in a minute. One more thing, one quick thing. The average person who dwells in the world, who prefers to have satsangs and all the different things, who look at the social aspect of it and the relationship with other people, and the group getting larger and larger and larger, these individuals have a job to do. They carry Dharma to a point. But Sanatana Dharma does not depend on that. Sanatana Dharma, if you look at the path, who are the ones who made Sanatana Dharma what it is today? Who brought Sanatana Dharma to what it is today? It's not groups. It's not necessarily organization. It is one person only. Nah? You look at Adi Shankara's work. What Adi Shankara has contributed. Because of Adi Shankara, you had Tulsidas writing Ramayana. Adi Shankara's works is what made scripture in the recent interpretations possible. That's why 11 of the 108 Upanishads is called major Upanishads, because of Adi Shankara's explanation of those. And it is by those we have great gurus. The concept of Buddha, Tulsidas, Mirabai, all of these people, they exist because of this what you call philosophy. Philosophy is what is carrying Dharma, not large amount of people. You have massive organization, but all they're doing is just supporting each other. Then when will liberation come to them? They will not attain liberation. They will support each other. Wonderful group, cohesive, a force to be reckoned with. But then the leader goes, or someone's happened, and the organization breaks apart again. What was consistent of all his Hindu history would have been one individual. Adi Shankara didn't want to find thousands of followers. He had 12 of them. Would have stuck with him during his life and traveled through India, Adi Shankara. And they would have stood out to be great individuals. He didn't want 12,000 people. He didn't want 12 million people. He just wanted 12. He actually ended up with 12. He didn't want anybody, actually. And some of the great gurus of the world will tell you, they don't need 100 people. They just need one. One person who can just carry the thing. That's Guru Parampara is about that. One or two individuals who would have this sort of inkling and would approach this understanding and continue to deliver it as the Guru would have delivered to them in the Guru's name. And that Dharma continues. Not the millions of copies of books, but the one interpretation that made a change in one person's life, that made him an Acharya or a Guru, is what carries Sanatana Dharma, If you kill all the Hindus of the world, and you burn all the books of Sanatana Dharma, do you think that Sanatana Dharma will die? It will not die. Because Sanatana Dharma does not depends on the thousands of followers. It doesn't depend on the thousands of books printed, or the iPad or so. Sanatana Dharma is Satyam, is truth. That consciousness exists whether the world exists or not. So Shankara would not have wanted thousands of people. So when we look at it, why is the world constantly going in the direction of having large groups of individual organizations and followings and individuals that will support a leader, and then earning money to build buildings and all these things, when none of that will actually contribute to the continuation or continuance of Sanatana Dharma or the longevity of Sanatana Dharma? None of it will contribute to that. As a matter of fact, the gurus of a tradition says that is there to keep a little bit of comfort in the life of those who are not already ready for this, not as yet ready for this. It is just there to comfort. And the longer, I'll tell you one more thing, the longer you stay there, and the longer you think that is the ultimate end all and be all of Dharma, you will never come to this. But if you have an open mind and say, I'm going to do this now because I understand that Sanatana Dharma is a growth. I have done the karma. When there were the yajnas, I went and I built the tent and I helped clean the place and bring the leaves and so on. And when there was the puja, I helped do the puja as well. I am now doing puja my own. But I know there is something yet to come. I'm growing up. Anyone who has that openness of mind and know that there is something yet to come. I told a spiritually, a very popular guy. He asked me in my presence a day, I was invited to a yajna and I went. I said, okay, I'll go. And one night I was listening. And he came and he asked us to sit and eat together. And he asked me, so what do you think about the discourse? I said, well, Panditji, I said, it's not a problem. It's really beautiful. But I think if you go to ashram, all the errors that you made will become corrected now. My goodness. My big mouth. He was angry at me. He said, I have a good thing going right now. I have a good car. I have a nice following right now. I don't need to go to an ashram. So see where I came. Your secular education and qualification, the large group that you follow, the car that you drive, this is what defines you as a successful spiritual person in our modern community. Not this. When it should be, this that defines you. So right away you see, that's how I learned from the world. I speak for 2 hours or 1.5 in today's case, and the next 22 hours, if I'm not sleeping at any time, I listen. I listen attentively. And that's what the intellect requires. The intellect requires that you gather all the possible options that pertains to the topic at hand. What is the topic at hand? The analysis of truth, who I am, What is the nature of the Lord and what is the nature of this world? This is the topic at hand. This is the critical topic. This is the most important topic in the human life that you were granted. You were given the opportunity to be born as a human being, more so following the path of Hinduism, solely and only because you are to do this at some point in time, this vichar. If you're using your human birth or your human intellect or your emotions for anything else, you are actually delaying your freedom or your happiness, or you're delaying your chance of happiness. You're delaying the process of this vichar to attain freedom and happiness. You're delaying. You are doing it yourself. No one is doing it to you. You wake up tomorrow morning and realize that you're not happy and things are really bad in your life. It is because you're directing your human prowess, your power, or your abilities as a human being. You're directing it in the wrong direction. Being pulled and swayed by society only, and maybe guided by immature spiritual thinkers as well. But if you, for some reason, this is why it is said that, great leaders are not born in temples. Great leaders are not necessarily born in masjids or churches. And great leaders are born where? In common householders. Tulsidas was a street child, correct? Valmiki was what? Daku, a robber, street robber, a highway robber. The Lord Jesus Christ, born in the humble home of a carpenter. And look what he became. Prophet Muhammad, was he a great individual? He rose to become a great prophet. Today. Buddha sat under a tree, they call it Buddhi tree. And he attained liberation there and had a large organization running with him. Bhagavan Krishna, born as what? Vaishya, cowherder. What do you call it? Not even Brahmana. He was not born Brahmana. He was born Vaishya. Agriculturist, if you want to say. Gardener, farmer. When he grew up a little bit more, he became what? Kshatriya. He was a soldier in the army. And when he spoke Bhagavad Gita in the presence of that war, Mahabharata war, he became what? Gita Acharya or Brahmana. So Bhagavan Krishna, through his natural birth, from Vaishya to Kshatriya to Brahmana. Bhagavan Sri Ram, born as what? Not Brahmana, born as Kshatriya only. If you want to use caste, that is, if you want to use caste. If you're not going to use caste, just think about what job they were doing in life. So it means that what is nice about it is that the common man is not, we should leave realization for the great Pundits or the great Swamis or Sannyasis. Realization is equally there for anyone who chooses it. It means that you have to make that choice. You have to approach your spirituality with the concept of, I want to become better, I want to grow. I cannot accept that what my grandfather, to do things the way my grandfather did it, is the ultimate end-all and be-all of my spiritual pursuit. Because we tend to want to preserve our Dharma the exact way our forefathers did it. This is the mistake Sanatana Dharma is doing today. We want to do it. We want to fix the bedi the way my grandmother used to fix it. We want to lipe the bedi. We want to fix it with the gobar. But there's no cows nowhere around. No gobar to be had. But you go now and find some gobar powder in the puja store for $20, a pack. And you come and make sure the lipe bedi because you want to make sure it was done the way it was done, the correct way. But somebody say, no. Sanatana Dharma is not primitive, where you have to get gobar and thing. Your floor is carpeted floor. Terrazzo floor, you don't have terrazzo. Tiles now, best tiles. But now we have hardwood. Hardwood is the real thing now. And your house is a concrete house. But Bhagwan Bedi, where you want to invite Bhagwan, gobar. Nice. You say, well, now they had to try to find a reason why I had to put it gobar. So it says the gobar has some chemical composition that when you apply it there, it actually cleanses and purifies the bedi. Well, okay, that's nice. But you go now and break it down and tell me how it's going to cleanse and purify. What actual element of it? And you know what the plain simple truth is? That long ago, you know that the best house, way back in the 60s and 50s, before everybody built concrete house, the best floor was a gobar lipid floor. The day your mother lipe your house, or your mother or your grandmother lipe the house, the floor and the walls, you're not allowed to go with sapat inside the house. Do you know that? You have to leave the sapat outside and walk in the house because you could dig up the lipe. The natural house where you live, the bedroom which we slept, and the cot that you made to sleep was made out of gobar and wood and whatever. So when you invite Bhagwan, the best that you can do is a lipid floor, a lipid fireside to cook your food, and a lipid floor. So when you invite Bhagwan, you make a bedi under the mango tree in front with dirt, and you lipid because that is the best floor available at the time. But then we continue leaving the gobar floor for Bhagwan, And we move from gobar or dirt to concrete or maybe wood. And then linoleum, vinyl. Then we cast the concrete house. Then we put terrazzo. Then now we put in tile. And now we put in hardwood on top of the tile. And I don't know carpets. But we leave Bhagavan with what I used to do. So the preservation of Dharma or the social norms of Dharma, it seems as though it binds us to primitive approach to Dharma, not a growth. Now we go with the Lipe flow, but we put it on camera now, on YouTube. So we say Hinduism has evolved. But the essence of what we do as Hinduism, it's still primitive. We have not understood, we are not grown out of that approach. What is wrong with taking the best? You go and you buy the best piece of granite that you could find, better than the one on your countertop, huh? And you make a nice bedi out of it with some of the best epoxy. Make sure you get a good guy to cut it and put the little groove and everything around it. And you make the best bedi. When you come in, when you look at that bedi, it must be the best bedi that you ever see. And you do God's puja and that. When the Baba comes, you say, hey, what is this? I don't know what kind of thing. Go and get the gobar and lipe this thing now. Mentality. So the social norms and the inability of us to really evolve in our thinking through our intellect and so on. We will never reach this stage if we don't think about growth. Preservation of Dharma does not mean remaining primitive, or does not mean remaining primitive and looking at it through a highly technological way. Understand what I'm saying? If you're going to grow in Dharma, you have to understand that the growth must come naturally. You must not be bounded to prehistoric issues, or should I say ancient things. While it is there for us as wonderful lessons of the past, the growth of the human being, it means you have to evolve out of karma, out of bhakti, into gyan, into this type of thinking. Because all Hindu people are very well capable of this. Who is getting the benefit of this? Who is getting the benefit of this teaching now? Well, let me tell you who is getting the benefit. The Caucasian people of the world. Russia has one of the largest following of Hinduism out of India and perhaps out of the Western world. Russia and all those countries in the Western European countries. So they are now seeing the value of Hinduism. Dr. Deepak Chopra made millions of dollars teaching the same thing to common people of America and so on, all over the world. Yeah, Stephen Covey and Wayne Dyer, people like Joel Osteen, people like Joyce Myers. They read Bhagavad Gita, most of the discourse, because I can tell you because I know Bhagavad Gita. And I know when you quote Bhagavad Gita in your discourse and saying it is the word, or saying it belongs to your, I'm not bad talking anyone, but I know Bhagavad Gita when I see it. I can tell you that. But they are the ones who have benefited from it because they are rich millionaires. And we don't even want to spend 2 minutes or lift our minds out of the normal storytelling that our satsangs are into these higher things. See? So when we look at it now, he says, I am Atma Brahma. The last one, I'm going to tell you one more thing about it. Aham Brahma Asmi. The declaration of truth and the declaration of what I am. I'm going to just tell you 2 or 3 things. One is, when you lie down to sleep in the night, things that you can relate to now. See the beautiful example. When you lie down to sleep in the night, right now you're waking. I hope you all are. Okay, I know it's a little bit difficult. This boring. No singing and no music, and it becomes terrible after half an hour. So you are waking now, and you're recognizing me in Sawa here. The house is here. The light is going on. Diya is lighting. Cameras are on. Everything is fine. So I'm waking now. So you're seeing yourself waking right now, or trying to wake. You are. A little while from now, you're going to bed and you lie down, and you will be taking a little nap, and you may fall into some dream, dreaming something. And that dream will come to an end at some point in time, and then you'll go into deep sleep. I want you to look at it carefully. From the day you were born to this moment now, all the hundreds and thousands of nights that you would have slept, who would have slept, who would have waked, and who would have dreamt? And all the nights that you would have spent, 8 hours sleep or 6 hours sleep that you would have gotten. You're seeing yourself waking right now. You're seeing your body. You're seeing your mind. You're seeing your thinking process. It is waking right now. A little while from now, you're presented to a bed. You take it and you put a lie down on a bed now. I'm not saying that you go and lie down. You presented your body and your mind to your bed, which you made nicely. The body, is now lying on the bed in a restful mode. The limbs and so on is very comfortable. Temperature is good with the AC and the fan or whatever. And the body and the mind falls into a light sleep. The mind is not fully fallen. The body is probably there, but it's not. The mind is not fully fallen to sleep. So the mind is now wanting to engage in some sort of activity. Body is not doing that. Body is lying in the bed. So the mind now digs into your memory and picks up images of what you've experienced during the course of your days or nights or whatever. Picks up some images for that and present to you a nice little story in your mind. It's called a dream. Right? But at the same time, while your mind is doing that, your body is doing this, your intellect is just lying dormant because you're not a thinking person during the night when you're lying on your bed. You're thinking about tomorrow to go to work, and then you forget that, done with that. But the mind is now playing some little image for you. That's called a dream. When the mind finally realizes that it doesn't access a lot of information, it now falls in a dormant state. And then what? The individual is said to be into deep sleep, sleeping now. So the body is lying, the mind is not doing any activity, the emotions are not there really, no set of hate or anything because no dream is going on, no snake to hate or no lion to run it down and feel scared or anything. That's now gone. Mind is not doing anything now. The intellect is has fallen, not operating. No memory is going on there. No egoism because you don't know who you are. You're in sleep now. So this individual now, who you are, is in sleep. He has fallen into deep sleep now. Can you see that the observer who observing the person while he was waking, the observer who observed while he was dreaming, the observer that observed the person that he was in deep sleep, that observer never slept, was waking all the time? The witnesser. See yourself. You look now and see, I'm going to look at my hand. This is my hand. So I'm going to see that. I'm the witness of it. I'm not thinking about whether I like my hand or not. I'm not going to say if it's a nice hand or not. Because the intellect is going to tell me if it's a nice hand or not. That's my intellect. It's going to do that. My emotions are, I like this left hand more than my right hand. Because my right hand has played more knobs. So no emotions. Do you remember your hand? I remember my child hand was maybe a little small. I remember that. The sense of ego, not that I'm talking about who I am. I feel I am Brahmachari, Kashyap. Oh, I am. Not no sense of inferiority or superiority. No, none of these things are there. I'm just looking at. When I go to sleep, I look at my dream. I am this person is now lying. This person is now dreaming. I'm the witness of it. And then finally, the person falls asleep, and I'm still witnessing that this person is in deep sleep now. And then you wake up in the morning. You, the individuality, wakes up in the morning. The witnesser, the consciousness which was witnessing all of it, never slept. Your body slept. Your mind slept. Your intellect fell also. Your emotions were gone. And your memory was not available to you until you woke up next morning. But the consciousness which witnessed all of this never slept, never ate, never got sick, never got angry, never got thirsty, never dies also. You following me? I don't know if you're following me. I think you're puzzled a bit, no? Imagine yourself, observing yourself. Sometimes you do something and say, I real stupid and look what I do. That kind of thing. You kind of put yourself outside and observe yourself, what you're doing. Just picture that observer, that changeless, silent observer that is allowing me to function. I told you the consciousness is equal in all of us. Now, you see that observer that is there is the same in everybody, And that is the I, the Aham Brahmasmi. That is the I that you really are. The body goes through changes. The emotion goes through a railroad of emotions, happy, sad, all these things go through. Intellect is sometimes very good. If you have a stroke or whatever and you lose your ability to think and analyze, then you have lost your intellect. Or some illness will prevent it from working. It's limited. It's like the body is limited. Intellect is limited. Someone says something hurtful to you and you're really angry and you can't think straight. What happens to your intellect? Bhagavan Krishna says that in anger, a man loses his memory. You know why? Because during anger, your intellect is not available to you. And all the good things and nice things that you've learned in all of your life, that all of a sudden is not available to you. And then you're angry and you lash out at somebody, you hurt somebody, you shoot somebody, whatever. See? So the intellect is just as vulnerable as the emotions, as the ego, as the body. These things are all instruments that are available to you. Who are you? Who am I? Aham Brahma Asmi. That is your true identity. Go to temple from morning to evening. Offer 1 million flowers if you want. If you do not think about this, vichar, nothing will happen to you in terms of freedom. You'll be puzzled all the time. The silent witnesser that goes through the 3 states of existence, Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha, that state of deep sleep, the one who goes through all of that changelessly, the one who is never hungry, the one who is never sick, that one consciousness which is the substrate of your existence, that is who you are. That's who you really are. Not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not the memory, not the ego. These things are not who you are. These are things that are available to you. Only through vichar can you come to know this. Offer 1,000,000 lota dhar today or tomorrow, this evening. Take 108 Shivlinga Murti and make offering to all of them. Those are very good things to do. It disciplines you from doing wrong things. You do that, it's better you do that than you do wrong things. Do that. But that's not going to help you until you have done this. Adi Shankara's first verse in the Atma Bodh, he says, just as fire is to cooking, so to Gyan is to realization. If you want to make a cook, what is the first thing you have to get? What is the most important thing to cook? I say cooking, making a cook. What is the most important thing to get? You get the pot. First thing you get is the pot. No, not the pot. You have to figure out where you're cooking first. If it's a vegetable soup or something, you're going to get the macaroni and the potato and aloo and thing. That is the most important. No, you get all that and you don't have water to put in it. So the water is the most important thing. No, the pot is the most important. No, the gas. No, the stove. No, the chulha. What is the most important thing to cooking? Is the definition of cooking means heating the object, the food. That is called fire. So while we sometimes are distracted about all the aspects of realization, we say that do puja or do Shakti offerings or do this offering or that, and you'll attain liberation. Ma will come to you, Hanuman will come to you. You can do that all you want, but it's not going to happen until you do this vichara. This is what's going to bring it. Understand who you are. And then other great rishis will tell the same thing in a slightly different perspective. Some say unfolding what is called the 5 layers. You ever heard of this? The 5 sheets. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Some say you just sit and meditate. A person who does not know how to meditate, he can meditate and attain realization. No, he has to go through a process. Again, the process means what? This only. If you're going to unfold the 5 layers, Anandamaya Kosha, the different Kosha, Panchakosha Viveka it is called. If you're going to do the discrimination of the 5 layers of human existence, Anandamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and so on, if you're going to do that 5 layer, you have to learn this before you can do that. See? So in Sanatana Dharma, the truth, Satyam, Satya Sanatana Dharma is defined by this whole concept. This is the very foundation of realization. And this is just the first statement of this verse. The verse contains a lot more beautiful information. But I think my time is just about out, so we will see. All right. Bole Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai. So I can just take maybe one question again if anybody would like to ask. It is 7:33. I know it will end now. But we'll just do a simple closing prayer if there's anyone like to ask a question. I would have said a lot of things there. Or those who are online and would like to ask a question, you can probably just message you quickly. And I can just read it. You can read it to me if you want. So it's not restricted to the people here only. Anyone who is listening, I don't know who you are. But if you would like to ask a question based on some of what I've said tonight, feel free to WhatsApp or text a message to someone here and they will ask me. I'll give just a minute for that. If not, we'll do a closing prayer. Okay, so next, if I were to come another time, not that you are inviting me, I'm saying if I, for some reason I'm here, I'm available at another time, and there's a lot of questions, instead of going into a discourse, we will just deal with questions only. Hour and a half of just question and answer, if there are any individuals, so we can do that as well. I'm pretty sure I have the answers for most of the question you have. That which I do not have, I'm pretty sure I can get it from someone, get it from my guru. Sure?
We spoke about the intellect, right? But the intellect cannot see backwards.
As itself? At itself, if you're going to...
At Brahman. So, how can Jnana help?
Okay. So Raman has a beautiful statement in that. It says, the knowledge by which all knowledge is known. Bhagavan Sri Ram says in the Rama Lakshmana Samvad in Aranyakand. Because this Lakshmana asked about knowledge, what is Gyan, what is Maya, what is Vairagya, Viveka, things like that. So Bhagavan says, the knowledge upon which known, all other knowledge is known. I don't know if that makes sense to you. This knowledge of Brahma Vidya, knowledge of truth, Satyam, upon which is known, he says all other things are known. So the intellect is meant to do, as I said, one thing and one thing only. It is just meant to take whatever information is brought to it and give the sense of, the diversity in it, how different it is. If this is hot and this is cold, the intellect has to define that this is hot and this is cold. This makes you understand what hot is, what cold is. If this is up and this is down, this is good and this is bad. The intellect is just the equipment that gives you the analysis and the inquiry into what the thing is. So you're asking the intellect, is it going to help you to know the Atman? It's not meant for that.
With the intellect, when you're thinking,
no. So the knowledge by which it means that the intellect is meant for one thing only. It is meant to ruminate on what is said in the Shastra from the lips of your Satguru, your Guru. And when that has done its job, when it has done its job effectively, you have a well-tuned intellect. Intellect that is really tuned. And is able to crystal clear, give you diversity in things immediately. The pairs of opposite or difference in things. It has done its job. You now have to take that information. Who is the you? The lower you, the ego. The individual that you have rounded, a holistic person that you've developed up to this point, has to now take all of that you have learned in the past, memorized, all the emotions that you would have felt liking or hating your guru or hating the people around you, hating the dog, you take all of that, put it together. The identity which your parents say you are my son, nobody could do anything, you're his best son in the whole world, all that nonsense, if you don't mind I say it. Use my child will do no wrong thing. You know, teachers, parents are doing that today. Long ago when you do something wrong in school, when you come home, you get licks home too, you know. But today parents are different. When the teacher, you go and be the teacher in school. Don't try. So all that sense of self, all that individuality was fed to you by your parents and your peers. And all that individuality is brought to a point where it has to now lift itself out of it. It's like the cup, that body that you have and the identity that you have, your parents and all the identity. You take that now and realize if you want to stay there, you want to continue to hold the cup, the water is gone, drunk the water, and you got the benefit of the water. You have to realize now if you're going to drop that cup or not. So the body, that's why you hear the gurus say that how they have no body identification anymore. You know the gurus are saying that. They're just living, existing. Jivan Mukta means that the body could suffer, it could be sick, it could be pain, it could be hungry. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them anymore because they're living in oneness with reality. They have made that decision to drop that which is useless, and now they attach themselves to that which is useful. Or the one and the same. So it means it is all a slow growth process, ending in a culmination if you want, and then a final step over into the reality or truth.
So at one point you have to really see when
the intellect has to do its job. You make sure you see your intellect can give you wrong decisions too, you know. One-on-one is what? No, one-on-one is 11. So some people argue that one-on-one is 11. So your intellect now, the best of your intellect will tell you one-on-one. The word and is commonly understood to mean plus. It's called functions in mathematics. So one and one, the word and is what is called a function in mathematics. One and one is understood to mean plus. So when we say one and one is, they say two. So one and one, 1 plus 1 is 2. But someone who has a different definition for the word and defines and not as plus, but the correlation between these two numbers standing side of each other, he will say 11. Now, both intellects are correct. But then the consensus is that the word and means plus. So as far as you're concerned, your intellect will give you the answer that 1 and 1 is equal to 2. But whereas, so that's what Krishna Bhagavan said. He talks about in chapter 2, you know that if you read chapter Bhagavad Gita. He says, you speak as though a great Pundit. You speak in what is called flowery language. It is logic that seems to make sense, but it is not actually so. You got to be careful with that. That's why I keep mentioning the word pure, refined intellect. It has to be a sharp intellect. It has to be a well-tuned intellect. It has to be an intellect that is actually available to the best of its ability. Because there are individuals out there with really corrupted and twisted intellects that will feed you something and you will well accept it. Fellas say, everybody thieving now. I go on thief too. I know a mother, the child was caught on several occasions thieving in everybody's house in the village. When they finally one day caught him and they carried him to the mother and she said, well, who doesn't thief? That's her logic. That's her intellect. The politicians thieving, the doctor teaching, the businessman teaching. My son come in your house and thief $100. What's wrong with that? So that's our impure intellect. Wrong is wrong. But how many of us could stand for that? So this is what I'm talking about. In spirituality, how many of us are willing, now I'm going to say it openly, how many of you are willing to drop Sri Ram, drop Krishna Bhagwan, drop Durga Devi Ma, and recognize God in yourself. See, you have to want that. You have to bring your intellect to help you to come to terms with that. And when that happens, the intellect does what it has to do. It melts away. Should I say, it falls to the wayside. It doesn't become something important anymore. Yeah? So the watch tells you the time, and then you don't worry about it again. It's there until the next time you want to watch your watch again, and that's it. So the intellect is like that. So it's not meant to bring you the realization. The intellect cannot bring you realization because it doesn't have the potential to do that. Its scope is not meant to bring realization, because if that happens, then realization is a product of the intellect, which is incorrect. So the intellect is meant to help you in the process of coming to terms with the reality or truth that is called realization. So Adi Shankara writes, he says, Satasangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve jivana muktaha. This is called the ladder of rise. So true satasanga means like discourse like this. We understand what truth is. The process is not over. True satasangata nisangatvam. Nisangatvam means you develop what is called detachment to things of the world. So true satsang, you'll understand what is truth and what is real and what is actually there. True intellect will understand that the importance I'm giving to this is not really valid. I should not give importance to this. I should give importance to this. So the satsang will help you to do that. And after you do that, you will become detached from the nonsense of the world. Satsanga nisangatve. Nisangatve nirmohatvam. Moha means what? Delusion will go away. The importance and the validity that you behave based on, that person says something about me and you will forever be unhappy because of that. That moha, that is irrelevant to you. That has nothing to do with you. Let him say whatever he wants to say. Or whatever happens in the world, let that be. Your moha, the delusion associated with that, you drop that now. Nirmohatvam, you'll drop that nirmohat. If you have dropped the moha, it's like the cloud has moved away and you're seeing the sun now. Nirmohatvam, nishchala tattvam. The tattva means, nishala tattva means that you will attain that vision of truth. And nishala tattva, the moment you start having a vision of truth, then what? Jivan muktaha. Adi Shankara. So satasangatve, nisangatvam. Nisangatve nirmohatvam. Nirmohatve nishala tattvam. Nishala tattve jivan muktaha. So the intellect has a very important part to play in the first stage. The intellect does not take you to realization. That is in the very first. So that does not have the potential to give you. It's the best of the equipment that you have, but it's not the ultimate equipment. See? Start on the path. It is just after bhakti. Because bhakti is emotions and ego and so on. Just after bhakti, the moment you inquire, I wonder who is this Lord I'm praying to. You see, the moment you do that, your intellect has to kick in and start dealing with those inquiries, those questions now. And that's not even the end. That's the beginning of the process. You have a lot of studies to go yet. You have a lot of days of meditation and words to smaranam, to listen to your guru, things that you should hear from your guru. And then your guru will say, now you go from my ashram now. Go from here. I don't need you anymore. You go and you sit on your meditation seat and you meditate now. And from there, you start dropping yourself completely now, and then you realize there. You see? So this is why I say this is called Prakriya Grantha. It's a starting process. It is not the end-all and be-all, but it is amazing in its content because obviously it is in the Gyan realm, not in the Bhakti realm. It is past the Bhakti realm. All right, so I hope that answers your question, or at least give a little insight into what you're asking. But let us do a little closing prayer. So perhaps all of us, those at home as well, can join. Let us put our hands together, close our eyes. Manojavam marutatulla vegam Jitendriyam buddhimatam varishtham Vatatmajam vanaryutha mukhyam Shri Ramadutam sharanam prapadhe Shri Ramadutam sharanam prapadhe Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva Tvameva bandhusya sakha tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Om shanti 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 Hari Om बोले श्री सिद्धि विनायक स्वामी की जय, मापति महादेव की जय, पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय, शिवेंद्रावन बिहारी लाल की जय, सर्वदेवी सर्वदेवता की जय, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. All right, so I want to thank you all for allowing me to come and join with you in Satsang. I was free this night, and I'm happy that you all invited me. I have something to do. Rather than stay home and do nothing, I can come and do Satsang. So thank you all very much for having me. And I do hope that I managed to, if not make it clear to you, at least invoke some sort of inquiry on your part to try to see that there is something unique about Sanatana Dharma that is not common to everyone. It's not available to everyone. And I hope I can bring some of that to you and at least start you in the process of seeking this knowledge. Yeah? So again, thank you very much. Hari Om, Jai Sitaram.